at a personal level, I still hate not eating steak. Like I
was thinking that the other day. I was like, I hate it. Like and it's funny.
Yeah, it's not fun. Like when I'm trying to talk to my friends, and I present the reason why you and I stopped eating mammals. They all say it's a great point. I have no holes in your logic at all. But man, do I just love a steak. And it's like, so do I.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
I stopped eating it, but they're fantastic. And so now we're completely on the same fact set. We all agree with my reasons. We all agree steak is delicious, and then people just make their own decisions.
It's so fascinating how morality evolves, because like I was on
once it's lab grown, by the way, they'll all stop eating, factory farmed cows.
But the fact that isn't, and it's not abhorrent to you to hear, because on the one level we can rationally acknowledge that we're not going to do it, and it was a difficult thing for us to get to. But that someone that you love and care about could go, yeah, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Because it's tasty, and that doesn't disgust us, I think says a lot about morality.
Well, yeah, it's because I'm the wacky out group. Like,
and that's what morality is.
I'm in the social minority.
And this is what's crazy.
No, so we're at dinner. Let's say 9 people ordered steak. I ordered salmon. They ask why, because you're at a steakhouse. You give your spiel. You kind of feel bad. Personally, I feel bad saying, I'm like, listen, I'll just do my own thing. And they're like, no, tell us. I'm like, well, I'm not trying to judge you. Like, I don't even want to talk about it, because now I don't want to make people feel badly about what they're doing.
Which is that insane
Which
of
is
you?
weird, yeah. Yeah.
I don't want you to feel bad about something that might in future generations be judged as genocidal.
Yeah, I think it's going to be viewed as horrible.
Yeah.
But I also don't feel it viscerally, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, I
don't feel it viscerally at all.
I stopped
I
doing
feel
it.
Viscerally jealous when I watch someone eat a delicious steak.
I stopped doing it because you and I talked about it, and it was like, okay, 200 years ago, when they think that factory farmed
you
slaughterhouses...
should say this so that people understand even what we're talking about. So yeah, so Ben and I don't eat mammals, because go ahead.
So I watched the movie 12 Years a Slave on a flight with you, and afterwards we asked, what is today's slavery? Because the part of the plot of the movie is that there's a good moral slave owner.
He's a nice guy.
He's a religious guy, and he's just doing what is normal for the day. And flash forward to our time, slave owners are monsters. It's a horrible thing to do, but everyone was doing it. Well, we're not at the moral pinnacle of society.
So we realized that if we were
our version of slavery,
if we were in the South in 1820, it'd be like, I'd have slaves.
Yeah. So 200 years from now, what are people going to look back on 2019 and go, those guys are monsters? And I don't think it's going to have to do with transgender athletes. I think it's going to be taking cows and putting them in horrible living conditions in small farms and shoving hormones in them and then slaughtering them.
Yeah. Because it's tasty.
Yeah. Because, and you kind of made this point, like, the history of humanity is to expand what counts as a person. So that, if you want to explain that further, that's your thesis.
That humanity, and I don't even know that it's mine. Other people probably have said this, but it started with, it's you, and then you get your tribe, but it's all, not the women and not the children and not just the men.
Yeah, no one of different ethnicity or gender.
And there's slaves.
Men have rights.
Yes, anyone who is from a different tribe doesn't even matter. Then it's okay. We're all the men of the same color were part of a tribe. It's still not the women. It's still not the gays. And still not the this. And you go about including women matter, and children matter, and gay people matter, and people of different skin colors matter, and so we've gotten close, and people who are invalid and old and all different things. We're like almost species wide, but the commonality is always, it's never been about species. It's been about demonizing the other as animal. Has always been the case.
Yeah.
And saying those are animals. They're savages. They're barbarians. That's what it means. And so I went, well, who are the animals today? And I said, I wonder if it's the animals, if it's...
Well, it's also interesting because if you treated a dog the way that we treat cows,
you'd
go to jail. You'd literally go to jail.
You see how people freak out about what happens in China when they eat their dogs and they have this festival and like they lose their minds.
Yes, but dogs and cows.
Meanwhile,
I think,
in India,
same intellect.
Well, in India, they revere cows and would be mortified by what we do. So in any event, we came to the conclusion that in 200 years, the thing that people are going to be most upset about is factory farming, and then there's some gray area around legitimate, not legitimate. Hunting in a way where the animal has a wonderful life up until that final second when it
I'm gray on that.
Yeah.
Should you be vegan? Is it okay to elk hunt with a bow? I'm actually not here to say that that's going to be viewed like slavery, but I think the The factory farming is the easy, obvious one. If you just Google those videos, they're horrific.
But again, I guess coming back to what we were saying is it is interesting then that we have to take such intellectual, rational, moral pains to get ourselves to make that change. And it would be so easy to just jump back in with the current from an emotional perspective, and even what feels.
Oh yeah, no one's making me feel good about this. I'm not getting patted on the back for it.
No, what feels right, and I think that it says a lot about morality, and it's kind of why I guess I'm a moral relativist in this. Like, it just arises as a gut instinct that says, "What is everybody doing? What do other people think is right and wrong?" And it takes such dramatic pains to step a little bit outside of that.
It still takes willpower for me when I'm in a restaurant.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, that would be good. And I think in 200 years, when there's lab-grown meat and stuff, no one is going to have that compulsion to kill a cow and eat it. But no, there's no pats on the backs for doing it. People kind of look at you weird when you explain it. Even if people do agree with your logic, they don't change their behavior.
I've changed one person's mind, I think, and it's yours.
You trickle down. Yeah. So my buddy Tim, I was at his house the other day, and he said, "I've been thinking about what you said 2 months ago," or whatever it was. He's like, "It's been in the back of my mind. And I'm not going to stop eating meat, but I am going to look to source it from specific places." He's like, "I'm going to pay more to know exactly where it's coming from and know that it was not caged and horribly abused. If it was from a farm, it was like free range or whatever that is." And he was like, "Yeah, I just wanted you to know, like, very few people change my mind on things, but I've actually had behavior change because of this."
Cool.
Like, oh, I wasn't expecting that at all. You actually dragged it out of me awkwardly at a steakhouse because I was eating fish. I didn't even want to share. So if you're at the patriarch, you can count 2 changed humans.
Well, and then this is, I guess, back to our original idea. That's the opposite of viral.
Yeah.
That is the opposite of viral. And so the question then becomes, how do you change the world?
Well, I don't think you do it intellectually. I think you do it with videos of cows being brutalized.
I think you're right.
I think if you could just strap people down like.
But again, those have existed forever.
No, but you got Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, but you can't.
But no. I know you can't. So
what does one do?
Well, I'm just saying. So you try to make viral things that incorporate that. I think you try to figure out how do I get that message shared? The brutal videos, because dude, I can't even remember seeing one. I know they're out there.
But you probably avoid them. And so this is an interesting thing where Cowspiracy comes in, which is the pacing and the leading and the not going too quick is, I think, really important. It's
like a lady.
Yeah. I've thought a lot about this when we were raising money for charity water. I was like, people don't care, and there's there's so many charities and so many good ones and so many ones you're not sure about. How do I get people to care?
I think everyone who donated because they like charisma and command. I don't think one person, well, I don't want to say that. The majority of people were not like, "Oh, I'm so touched by this cause that you guys have educated me on.
Yeah.
I want to get water to these people." I think mostly they were like, Charlie set a goal of 30 grand for his 30th birthday, and I like him, and I want to help him reach that goal. And the fact that this is helping get clean water is a total side product.
I realized that, and I thought about that, and I've seen that might be the best way, because if without them barely even trying, Emilia Clarke had she had brain issues. I don't know if you saw, and then she started this I guess nonprofit in order to help people rehabilitate. I forget what it's called, and she just put a video up about it and was raising money and was appreciative. Reddit got a hold of it and said, "Hey guys, this season kind of sucked for the actors who did a great job. Can we help Emilia?" And it blew up. So much money was raised. And then somebody was like, "Oh, I know it's great. Kit Harington also has a cause that can we help Kit out?" And Kit Harington's cause then raised a bunch of money.
Oh, what's his cause?
I don't even know, and I don't think people care.
Yeah.
Which is what's interesting. And so I was like, you know what? In order to change the world, these guys have been more effective than me with fewer calls to action.
Emilia Clarke, you mean?
Yeah.
Or the Redditors?
Emilia Clarke.
Okay.
And Jon Snow. And the reason is because Kit Harington, Jon Snow. That's my point, is that how do you do it? You don't get people to care about the cause, you get them to care about you. And this is why you give your niece money when she's running a 5K for who cares what.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. She's my niece. And so if you want to make a positive impact in the world, become an individual who has a wide fan base who cares about